I don't know if I like Apple when Steve Jobs was there. It wasn't really much different than it was now. I mean, they may have made slightly better products, but they still didn't really care too much about whether or not they worked for a long period of time. Repairability was never a priority to them. Durability was never really a priority. Yeah, so I don't know. Alright, so let's finish this up. The video for that one was unfortunately scorched. Fixed settings, though. So let's see, what size are we here? What size caps do we have on this board? So what needs to be put back there are... Let's hit the PDF button in the Paul Daniels software. Let's hit the PDF button in the Paul Daniels... Ah, there we go. 10 microfarad, 0603. 10 UF. Microfarad. I don't think I have a 0603 cap book. Actually, we've been down this path before, haven't we? Yeah, this piece of shit only goes up to 2.2. So now I gotta find these on another board. Yeah, there's supposed to be a feature in this software where it'll find a part that I want. Search string. UF 25V. PDF collection folder. Board schematics. Select. Search. Search. Search, search. Let's see how fast this searches. We got an NVMe, PCI Express SSD, and a Threadripper 2950X. Wow. It's a one-time purchase, SIEG 67. Paul made it more expensive because he got tired of dealing with bullshit PayPal claims. And that's understandable. If I had to argue with people, no, look, see on the page where it says there's no schematics? That means you need to find them. Where do I get them? I can't tell you because of copyright. Well, then I want my money back. Ugh. I mean, he has to deal with that shit on a regular basis. I feel bad for him. I'd rather just deal with PM Sleep S4L all day than people that can't read large font on a web page. You have to understand how painful that is as well. Paul Daniels' job dealing with the people that don't know how to use software, that's not easy. That could drive somebody to drink. So it doesn't look like I'm finding this on any of the boards that are in the... Meh. It says 193 files left to check. It's really surprising how slow this entire process is. Threadripper processor, PCI Express SSD. I could find this capacitor faster myself. This is painful. Alright, fuck this. Let's open up some schematics and see if we can find one. So, hold on. UF. I need a 25 volt. That's 6.3 volts, 6.3 volts, 6.3 volts, 6.3 volts, 6.3 volts, 6.3 volt. 25? Ah, you're an 805 package. Shit. I need a 603 package. $10 microfarad. I need 20 something volts and a 0603 package. Where am I gonna find you? You don't exist, do you? Aha. Oh great, it exists on a no-stop circuit. Isn't that nice? Alright. We need C7101 off of 3115. So let's find that. When the dog barks, when I'm feeling sad, I just remember my favorite things, and then I don't feel so bad. When the dog barks, when the bee stings. When the dog barks. Bites. Is it barks or bites? I don't even remember. When the bee stings. When I am feeling sad. I just remember my favorite things. Okay, pull. Come on off the board. 8204924C2333. I already grabbed it from a different board. Like, I ain't waiting all day for that. Okay. It's a really cool feature, though. The problem is I have too much junk in that folder. Like, there shouldn't be over 300 files in that folder. That folder has a bunch of files in it that aren't actually used for anything. You know, DC inboard schematics for 13-year-old computers. It's my fault that I didn't clean it. It's my fault. That feature that Paul has is really amazing. It's awesome, and it's going to save a lot of people a lot of time. I'm just being a dick. Can I push that cap down without using hot air? I think I had my answer to this last time. I feel bad for you working so late. Why? Why do you feel bad for me? Why do you feel bad for me? Yeah, I put field A, 10, field B, 603. I actually used all three fields, Paul. Au contraire, my friend. You see that? Okay, I used 2 fields. I lied, but still. Look at that. Oh, I know how to use the software. Unfortunately, the software also knows how to use me. The software also knows how to use me. What's your opinion on staying with a girl because you have a kid with her? We don't get along, but I don't want to be a piece of shit father. Oh, that's a hard one. Yeah, I tend to be more about prevention than fixing stuff after the fact, but man, that really depends. So, how badly do you not get along? So, I can speak a little from experience here because my dad stayed with my mother, even though my mother was very, very obviously not just mentally ill, but just fundamentally mean-spirited as a human being. And I wish that he had moved. He just didn't move away because of financial reasons, but that really wasn't what I needed. I didn't care if I didn't have a... I didn't care if I was stuck with one parent. I just didn't want to be stuck with crazy all day. And I got stuck with crazy all day because my dad wasn't able to leave. And like, it's just annoying at some point when you come home and you hear screaming, and then it's 3 and there's screaming, and there's 5 and there's screaming, and there's 7 and there's arguing, and there's 9 and it's arguing, and at 3 in the morning they're still arguing. But the thing is, like, how is she a good mother? Like, well, what is the situation? Is it that she's a good mom and you're a bad dad? She's a good mom and you're a good dad, but together you make both bad parents? She's a terrible mom and you're a good dad? Like, what's going on there? You know, if you did leave, would you be able to have custody? Would you want sole custody? Because that's a tough one. Because, like, again, in my case, I would have preferred that my dad not stay with the lunatic. But the problem was that, like, but if he had left, for all I know, it would have been way worse if I had to stay with my mother rather than stay with my father. Because as shitty as it may have been dealing with my mother, my God, dealing with that alone as a kid without another influence there to say, oh yeah, I know she says this, that, and the other, but no, that's not the way the world is supposed to work. Just so you know, that probably would have been considerably worse. Next up is 3 picofarad 0201. Also, Anthony, they take about 30%. I think GFM takes like 2 or 4% or something like that. Yeah, Susan always takes more. Susan wants everything. I don't know, Blind Mango. I always kind of wonder back and forth on that one. I don't think he stuck. I don't know if he stuck around out of caring. I think he just stuck around because he was. Shit. I don't know if I can afford to leave, so I guess I'll stay. Obviously, it's, you know, it's always easy to say stuff in hindsight. But I mean, you know, if I were in that type of situation, I'm not gonna let my kids spend time with a lunatic. Like, fuck that. I'll sell everything I own. I'll work overtime. I'll give up on the idea of having a business. Whatever it takes. I'm not letting my kids get screamed at by a lunatic every day. Like, hell no. I think it's also one of the reasons that I work as hard as I do. Like, if I'm being honest with myself, you know, I like having Vandersteen speakers. I like having half-decent headphones. And I like eating a quality burrito every now and then. But I don't really live the lifestyle that requires much in terms of money or super financial security. You know, I'd be happy living in the middle of nowhere in some one-room shithole, you know, watching a black and white TV, as long as I have my, you know, some music to listen to. But I never want to be in a situation where I'm stuck around awful people. Is it a new office mask? Awesome. Thank you, Ned. Yeah, like, I never want to be in a situation where I'm stuck with being around shitty people because I can't afford to leave. It's just something I never want to do, and I never want to subject people that I know for that. Only reason we stuck together is because I wanted to not be a POS, but we fight all the time, so I think it's better to be separate and not fight. Okay, yeah, that I don't think that it really answers my question. Are your fights because you're two good people who don't get along, or are your fights because either you're a piece of shit or she's a piece of shit? Because there's differences, you know, like there's couples that just don't get along because they're couples that just don't get along, and then there's stuff like, oh, you dropped this into the sink. Why did you do that? Why did you scratch my sink? My sink was great. You ruined my house. You ruined my life. You bastard! Every single day for like 17 years. Because, you know, like the former is just, okay, you're a couple and shit ain't sweet because, you know, you fucked the wrong woman and now you're aggravated about it and now you don't like each other. You know, it happens. Whereas the second is somebody who's clearly just fucked in the head and mean-spirited and is going to make your life miserable from now until the end of time. That's what I'm curious about. You know, are these just, you didn't do the dishes? Well, I work all day, you know, like that kind of shit back and forth arguing? Or is this something where one person is just mean-spirited and nuts? The father of 17 years that does not get along with my child's mother, get away, but keep up with your parental obligations. Do not make your child pay for your failed relationships, says Papa. I would agree with him there. Yeah, I would definitely agree with him there. But don't make your kid pay for the failed relationship. But that really means, like, you have to be honest with yourself. Which parent is the kid better off with? And is it better that you stay together and just act cordial as friends, or is it better that you leave because you genuinely can't stand each other? But, like, don't take the easy way out. And don't say you're doing something for the betterment of the kid when in reality it's the betterment of yourself. Like, be honest with yourself. Because, again, you know, like, if I have a kid and my kid was growing up in the household that I was growing up in, I don't give a fuck if I'm spending my entire life savings and working 30 hours a day in order to find an attorney that will assure that I get custody of my kid. I'm getting custody of my kid. If I gotta fucking fly away and escape to Cuba or Belgium or something, or, you know, some random island, so I don't get caught. If I had to kidnap my kid, I'd have done it. But that's me. Whatever showed up on screen, unfortunately, did not last while I was in the middle of the rant. I'm sorry if I missed what you typed. If anybody could copy and paste that into chat while I finish this so I could read it, I would very highly appreciate it. Thank you very much. And let me just heat this up. And I'm going to flow that into place without burning the speaker connector. Courts will always find for the welfare of the child in custody battles. The truth will always come out eventually, but it's always about the welfare of the child. Children. Yeah. Well, it depends. It really comes down to also how does a court see the welfare of the child. So the way it was explained to me is that, at least in the 90s, it doesn't matter how crazy the mom is, she's always going to get custody of the kid, especially if the dad works. Like that's just, it's just the way it is. You're not going to change it. And I'm one of those people that I don't really care about stuff like that. When somebody says you're not going to change it, I always am seeking to change it. I'm always seeking to have a confrontation about something that I find to be unfair or insane or wrong. So but I don't know. I don't think I would have taken an attorney's word as gospel in the case of my child. So I think I would have just went for it anyway. Because I think a lot of people just accept things without actually genuinely going for it or presenting a best case. Or I could be wrong. I've never actually been involved with... I've never had to go to parental court or anything like that, or child custody court or anything like that. So, not really sure. Someone says, okay, Mr. MGTOW. That doesn't really appear to be a productive addition to the conversation. It's fairly useless. Doesn't really ask a question that's worth asking. Doesn't look for details to help the gentleman who asked this question. It's quite a serious issue. How to handle your relationship and your child, and it's quite a lot of serious questions that have to be asked there before you make a concrete decision. And you're not actually helping. You're really just kind of adding to the noise that is fairly useless. Let's see. Whereas couples who've married 50 plus years are loving every second. Huh? Courts usually favor the mother, but if it's obvious by investigation the mother is deficient, the courts normally rule in favor of the welfare of the child. I guess what I'm asking is, if you feel you have done all you can you still be a good father if you don't stay with the mother? I think it's possible to be a good dad if you don't stay with the mom. But again, this really comes back to a very basic question of, are you leaving and taking your kid with you, or are you leaving and keeping your kid behind? And B, is the person you're leaving your kid behind with a good mother? That's really what it comes down to. Because if the person you're leaving your child behind with is an excellent mother, if the person if you're leaving your kid behind with a woman who's an excellent mother and you're involved in that child's life on a regular basis, then you're not a bad father. If you're leaving your child behind with a mentally ill, lunatic, out of her mind, batshit crazy person that puts on a smiley face for the rest of the world so nobody thinks anything is wrong, and doesn't visit regularly, that's a fucked up thing to do. There's always nuance. There's no real way to answer these questions easily. Alright, so let's see if this board actually boots again. I think as long as you pay child support, if you don't get custody and you spend time, you're not a bad parent. Again, I would tend to disagree, but that's just because of my obviously biased personal experience. Don't leave your child with a lunatic. And this goes either way. Ladies, don't allow a lunatic, abusive man to take custody of your child. And men, don't allow an emotionally abusive, lunatic woman to take custody of your child. It's your job to protect your kid. And if you married somebody who's out of their mind, you've already fucked up in job number one. Job number one is choose a parent for your kid that is going to be a good parent for that kid. But you can redeem yourself by not fucking up job number two, which is protect your children from people who will harm them. Okay, so enough of that topic for the time being. I don't think I'm going to get a perfectly straight answer to my question from that gentleman. You're welcome to put it in the normal chat. You don't have to pay for me to read it. I can honestly say she's a good mother. I'm a good father. We are just not good together. She's better suited to take full custody. Then do it. Go for it. I would leave, but then make time to be in your kid's life regularly. Don't do that weekend shit. Because one of the things that about kids is there's a lot of times where a big part of child development is there'll be something that they see on the TV or something that they see in the news or something that their friend told them, and they'll want to show it to you. They'll be really excited to show it to you, but they won't be excited to show it to you on Saturday when it's your day. You need to be able to have lunch with them every day, talk to him or her every day, have a phone conversation. I am on a regular basis, not just check-in kind of thing, but you really have to be there in that way so that the kid doesn't get the answers that they're looking for from other people. Because if I think something's really cool and the first person I want to show it to is my dad, then the first impression I'm going to get from whatever my emotional response or intellectual response was to what it is I saw is going to be my dad's counsel. But if my dad's not there until Saturday, I'm not waiting until Saturday. I'm going to show it to my friend or my teacher or my mom or somebody else. So by all means, go for it. Just make sure you don't wind up a weekend dad. Okay. That being said, I have to find my USB-C amp meter. I don't know where I put it. Never mind. I put it. It's right in front of me. I'm such a fucking idiot sometimes. Okay. All right. It looks like we're taking 250 milliamps at 20 volts. Now we're taking 70 milliamps at 20 volts, 40 milliamps at 20 volts, 140 milliamps at 20 volts, 390 milliamps at 20 volts, 190 milliamps at 20 volts, 420. Why am I reading this? I could just put it on screen. Yeah, we got an Apple logo, so we're good. So this is going to be a very obvious defect in these airs, is that those three caps are going to die on a regular basis. This is going to be an easy breezy, beautiful CoverGirl fix that is going to print money for the next 3 to 5 years. It's particularly awesome that they replaced the A1534 with this. Please don't call me sexy if you're a man. But thank you for the wait, no. No, because that spells ass! You Australian pervert! Ah! Okay, let's leave a note for this. I don't think we even set pricing on these yet. What does this thing sell for? A1932, I see MacBook Air. Does it say on the board how much RAM this thing has or no? 1.6 gigahertz, but doesn't say RAM or SSD. Of course, why would you print information on the board that gives me any fucking idea what the specs are of it? You're an Apple product. Of course you're not going to have anything printed there that makes life easy. Alright, so how much does it... So that's the old version MacBook Air that they have on sale. From Apple's website, the MacBook Air is... Alright, $1,100. So... vague estimate. Thank you for doing what you do. Best of luck with the new shop. Happy holidays from Australia. Damn, that's 3 people from Australia watching tonight. This is starting to get kind of scary. Paul Daniels, the other guy, Wayne. When did I become so popular in Australia? Have any of you heard of Paul Daniels? Paul Daniels is also from Australia. Maroc, best of luck with the new store. Thank you. Hey everybody, how's it going? So today we're going to be working on an A1465 MacBook Air. Let's see if we can figure out what's going on with this MacBook Air. Make it work again. Let's get it under the desk. And get my screwdriver, get myself a magnet, and open this up. Praetorianix, spoken like someone who does not have the bills on the table. That's an easy thing to say when you don't have the bills on the table. A1465, Jason. Ew, 2012. Yuck! This is Erica's year of MacBook Air. Ivy Bridge processor. Puh, puh. And you can see it has that glitching Toshiba SSD that they stopped using. The Toshiba SSD from the 2011 Airs is such a piece of shit. Outside that, not only is this a Toshiba 2012 SSD, but it's also got liquid damage on it. Ugh. Double whammy. I resent that. Okay. I don't really care. Stop working. Working is not going to make you more money. Yes, it is. You shouldn't have to, but there's a bill. You don't have to pay the bill. I have to pay the bill. It is easy to say that working will not pay the bill when you're not the person who has to pay the bill. Random question. Have you seen Phantom of the Opera in New York City? Yes, several times. I used to have such a crush on Julia Udine. I used to have such a crush on Julia Udine. Thank God I never actually went backstage to see her. After the experience that I've had with YouTube, whenever I meet someone that I look up to, or just that I have some stupid random crush on, I just pretend they don't exist. It's one of the things that I wish a lot of people did when they met me. Just walk by and pretend they don't exist. Okay. So it looks like this machine has corrosion on the backlight circuit and the PP3 before too. Hopefully this helps. Holy shit. I've watched you through the night. Thank you. I wish I visited your store when I went to New York to get my phone screen fixed. Thank you, Kel the God. That is a lot. Holy crap. I suspect if Lewis went home at 5 p.m. instead of putting in this temporary extra time, he would not get much sleep worrying about how he's going to pay for it. That too. That too. So if I'm going to be up late at night going, how the fuck am I going to pay for this? I might as well be up late at night actually doing something about it. Because worrying doesn't really do much. It's not very productive. Worrying does not... Oh my God, how am I going to fix my problem? Oh my God, how am I going to fix my problem? Abuse Pepcoin, good side profit for 155. Abuse Pepcoin. I don't know what Pepcoin is, but thank you for the $2. Yeah, like worrying doesn't actually. Again, this is one of the things that I learned from my mother. My mother taught me this lesson for a good 17 years in a row, which is that worrying does not actually fix your problem. It doesn't get you anywhere. Whereas if you have a shitty problem, you can have a shitty problem. Like, I've had shitty problems before. I just worked through it. The worst one that I think I had is when my supply company lost about $30,000 in a day because of a glitch in a website. Oh, that is a kick in the nutsack. You hire somebody to do your web design. They change authorize and capture to authorize. Don't tell you. And by the way, I actually did this. I installed Magenta 1.4, updated to 1.5 in a totally different server, just to see if it changed the option. It doesn't. It doesn't. They had to have fucking done that. It was a company called Veracom Technologies. And I wound up losing $30,000 because a bunch of things didn't capture. So now granted, I wound up contacting most of the people. But I contacted, of the $30,000, only $20,000 paid it back, which means that there's about a 66% of the people that you deal with in that type of case will happily just let you get fucked. But I had to put in quite a bit of work after losing that, because that's not the type of loss that I was able to take at the time, and I did. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be here right now. There would be, I think about that. There'd be no Rossman Repair store, because that happened in November of 2011. I moved here in January or February of 2012. There'd be no Rossman Repair store. There would have been no YouTube channel, because I started the YouTube channel in late 2012. There'd have been no motherboard repair that I do. There'd be no motherboard repair education. And honestly, I don't even know how far the right to repair shit would have gone, because I was pushing that shit really early. Like I was pushing that stuff back in 2012 and 2013, before it was a sexy topic that front paged Reddit. So granted, I'm not saying that I'm responsible for everything. I'm not responsible for everything, nor am I some sort of god or amazing person that got everything done. It's just I like to I wonder what type of dominoes wouldn't have fell, and what would we have missed out on? What would the industry have missed out on, really? If I had went down a different path, or wound up with 5 roommates in some shithole apartment in Canarsie or Bushwick, working at Modell Sporting Goods as a cashier again. It sucks. Don't get it twisted. I'm not saying that I enjoy this. As I mentioned in the Day 6 video, I'm not one of those Team No Sleep people on Instagram that's like, yeah, it's 5 a.m., this is how we do. This is the best way to do business. This is awesome. I do this every day and I love it. It's not about love. It's not. It's just you do what you have to do at the time that you have to do it to get what it is you want to get. And you have to ask yourself, well, what are you doing it for? Am I doing this because I want to have a Ferrari? Am I doing this because I want to have some fancy mansion? Am I doing this because I want to be able to replace Erica with some FIT chick 10 years from now that's half her age? No. I'm doing it because I think that I'll be able to continue doing what I'm doing on a much larger scale, which is teaching repair and doing repair to people that otherwise would have had no options. And it's a really good feeling to be able to help people that otherwise would have not been helped, and also to be able to teach people how to... I'm not able to do real drive repair videos here. I'll be able to do drive repair videos on a regular basis in the new place, and then new people will start doing it. And then those people will be able to recover data for people who thought that their memories were gone, and they'll be able to relieve them of that terrible feeling. And there's such a flow of dominoes. There's so many dominoes that can fall that can make the world a better place. But it starts with me doing my fucking job. And if that means I have to have a month of a shit schedule, I'll do it. Oh. That being said, let's get back to the board. Because just like feeling sorry for yourself or stress does not fix problems, talking doesn't either. All right. So here we have corrosion on the PP3V42_G3 hot circuit and the backlight circuit. The PP3V42_G3 hot circuit is going to be the circuit that turns on the SMC, which speaks to the charger, as well as the circuitry that allows the SMC to speak to the charger. So I imagine, in addition to not having a backlight, this probably doesn't have a green light either. But let's confirm if that's true or not by plugging this in. So it does give me a light, quite surprising. on the charger, and it gives me a dim light on the screen. This is probably only going to wind up needing a minor ultrasonic cleaning. But I'm still going to go over the joints just to make sure they're all good. Okay, so are you booted into an operating system yet or no? Okay, the caps lock key is working, so you are booted into something, but I'm not getting a light. I got a light for a short period of time. That leads me to believe that it's a sleep sensor issue. So let's see what happens when I unplug the sleep sensor. And nothing. This over here is a hall sensor, and it's going to detect whether or not the machine is sleeping. Oreo, are you sneezing, boy? Oreo cat? Oreo? Oreo, you okay? Oreo? It's okay, boy. You're a good kitty. You're a good boy. Oreo is such a good cat. What kind of computer is this? This is an A1465 2012 MacBook Air with an 820-3208 motherboard, an Ivy Bridge processor. Rubbish, really. But, okay, so now we're not getting a backlight at all again. Now, let's see what happens if I restart this whole thing. Oreo loves the scratching post thingy. He was scratching the shit out of it. Good Oreo. Okay, let's take this out of the machine and see if we can touch up this backlight circuit. Just closing my shop. 3 spoiled kids need a Christmas. Says JCMP Technology Services. No coal for them? Oh, God. This is much dirtier than it looked over there. Do you work 24/7 to afford gold wipes for Oreo? ...2012 MacBook Air is what Erica has, except hers is an 820-3209 because hers is a 13-inch. Robin, that'll never happen. That'll never happen here. No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't be able to date her if she had a 12-inch. At least she has the 13-inch Air from when the Airs were at least still decent. If Erica had a 12-inch MacBook, then it wouldn't have worked. It would have never worked on site. Because there's only so much a man can take. Okay, so if we take a look, that's a lot of crap right there. That's a lot of shit. Very quiet, Rises. For all the people who say New York is the place that never sleeps, that's bullshit. Half of the city's asleep by 9, 75% by 10 or 11, and like 99% of it by 12 or so. A man can take 13 inches but not 12. Also, what is that? Meltable liquid. That's called flux. This is a really crappy one to fix because I don't have donor boards for it, so for every component that I want to replace, I have to go and find a... it sucks, because you have to find another board that has the same one. How is the new store? The new store is coming along, and 12 cats is fucking insane. How the hell do you do that? How do you keep your place from smelling like a complete cesspool? Because I know somebody who has 5 cats, and when you walk in, it just smells like a diaper. Paul Daniel Software Update Fund. Don't delay. Update today. I can't afford to update my software to the new 6-figure rate Paul Daniels wants. I could sooner afford some flagship Oracle database software than a new version of Flex Board View. Paul has went all out nuts with the pricing of his new software. No, Rises, you're not going to get a new machine in that quickly. You're not going to get new machines in that quickly. Because people treat them nicely when they're new. And there's also less people that own it when it's really new. Oh my god, there's way too much crap that's corroded on here. And Nell says under the 4924 shelf is where these... Oh, I'm not going to find a 2012 11-inch Air here, though. That's... You know that's a unicorn, Nell. You know that's not happening. Let's see, what do we have in this slot, though? I'll bite. $30.23, $30.23, $30.23, $30.23, $30.23, $32.09. Okay, do you have stuff laid out similarly? No, you don't. Oh, you fucker. You don't either. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that there's not going to be a single 3208 in the store. Ooh, that would suck if I had to pull these components off of individual donors. Alright, let's see. You're not there. You're a small board. Via 3208, 3208, 3208, 3208. Ooh, are you a 3208? You are a 3208! Holy crap! That's unobtainium. Not you. You have an MCP. Ew, you also have an MCP. Gross. 3024, nope. 2796, damn. 2838. No coal. Had rush repair. Something 720 3013. Can't read that. I'm a little far away from the screen at the moment, looking for a board. But thank you. 32. Okay, we have two 3208s. No way in hell. 3 3208s? Holy shit! Anel was right. For once, Anel posted something in the chat that didn't make me want to choke him. Everybody thank Anel for not posting something other than your CPU is dead. Haha lols. Man, that feels good. My board is going to be fixable. Okay. That means I can bulldoze all this crap on here. This is what I don't want to be trying to... Yeah, get the fuck out of here. Rubbish. Garbage. Shit resistors. You have no place on this board. Alright. Okay, do a little bit of this. Scrape, scrape, scrape. Scrapey, 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 scrapey. Have a pleasant and productive evening. Thank you, Mr. Wayne. Have a pleasant and productive Australia. Hooray, you found the thing. What's the likelihood of being able to swap parts for 2012 laptop upgraded to the 12 laptop that don't have the specs for these please remote me also what's the actual feasibility? Turn laptop and tower desktop. That is... Well, you're not really being specific, so I can't really answer that, unfortunately. What's the likelihood of upgrading it? I mean, what are you looking to upgrade in it? Also, turning it into a tower doesn't sound very feasible. I mean, technically, you could if you wanted to mount it. If you wanted to come up with mounting brackets for everything, it's just... I don't know why anybody would want to do that. If you want to come up with mounting brackets for every single little thing inside of a desktop case, you can. It's just you're going to be getting a lot less performance for a lot more money and a lot more hassle. Doesn't seem like something that makes sense to put time and effort into. Okay, let's grab this from a donor. I believe I just knocked off my good resistor, and I don't know how I did it, but I did it. There was a good resistor there the last time I was looking in the microscope, and now it's gone. I don't know how the fuck that resistor disappeared, but it just left. Come on, stick to the board. Gravity, do your thing. Oh, you piece of shit. I hate when gravity doesn't do its thing. It's like, I have my job, gravity has its. Sometimes gravity just gets lazy on me. I know. I'll touch up the solder pad in a moment. My cats have... I can't read that, unfortunately. When I'm soldering, I'm reading out of my peripheral vision, so if you send me something simple, I can read it, but those don't look like English words. So I'm kind of inferring what the word is based on seeing it out of the corner of my eye. But yeah, some of those words there did not look like they were English. Okay. Okay, now down here. What was down here that I knocked off? Oh, there was one single capacitor. But the trace also came off as well. I think I'm just going to have to live without that single bypass capacitor. I'm fairly certain if I look in the schematic that one bypass cap that's going to be missing is not carrying a signal through it. It's just bringing something. It's just the bypass. So, according to the schematic and the board view, yeah, it's a bypass cap for a rail that's got more than enough bypass caps on it already. So that's good enough for me. It's good enough for rock and roll, and it's good enough for me. Nasty stuff will come off in the ultrasonic cleaner. Now we gotta get to the rest of this cluster. Fuck. We got a bunch of corroded probe points over there. Some corroded stuff over here by SMC reset. Corroded stuff by some caps. Yeah, I mean, this board is just full of corrosion everywhere, really. We're just gonna re-hot a lot of that stuff. Try and see if we can salvage it. And this board is 7 years old. We don't have time to sit there making every single little thing perfect. Or replacing every single little thing. It looks like somebody already removed the underfill stuff around, the edge bonding around the SMC, and it wasn't me. But it's hard for me to believe that somebody would have opened this and left all this corrosion here. So I don't really know what to think. What kind of monster would open this and leave the corrosion there? Oreo? Oreo gave me a little nuzzle. Well, there goes that cat. You know what? Fuck all of that stuff. If I have it on the donors, it's gonna come off of here. I do have most of that stuff on the donors, so this shit can get Gogaba. I just tapped you and you left the board. I barely touched you. Right, so SMC reset check, can suck it. Suck it. Suck it. That stuff is kind of okay. Alright, we already have a broken probe point over there. I was originally just going to touch this section up, but this is... oh well, that can go too. And whatever this resistor is going to over here, that's also kind of gone. That looks like just a cosmetic probe point to be able to measure a specific voltage line on. I think I can do fine without it. Oreo has a job now, Brian. Oreo's job is to kill the mice in the office. Oreo has been doing an excellent job, frankly. Ah, son of a bitch. That cap will go back down when I when I go to place the stuff above it. What? Oh, I grabbed the broken tweezer. Son of a bitch. Oreo is tearing up that scratching post. Good boy, Oreo. Good boy. Tear up that scratching post. Alright, Lewis. Love the videos you put out. Thank you, Mr. Monty Python, for the $5. Oreo. Oreo. These tweezers are total shit. Let go of the fucking component. Grab. Sit. Sit, you fuck. Okay. You want to grab high on the component, not low, so that you have space to push it onto the board with. Now, Now we're going to put the board on the desk in the Paul Daniels view. Vertical video. Now for the backlight circuit, the enable section is where a lot of the corrosion is. So that little transistor that you see, the tiny one that I was filing, is going to control a larger transistor that then sends backlight to the machine. So if you take a look at Q9707, this is the last year it was Q9707 before it was designated 7707. 2013 is the year that a bunch of things changed, like U7000 became U7100 and so on and so forth. So this is a transistor that sits between... What the fuck is this Paul Daniels software shit? Why are you showing me two different schematics on the screen? What the fuck is this? Anyway, let's try this again. So, Q9707 is a transistor that sits between backlight power and the backlight circuit. So this backlight power is only going to go through the backlight circuit when this transistor opens. This is a P-channel Mosfet, which means the power is going to go through it when voltage on the gate is lower than on the source. Now, if you take a look here, you need to take voltage away from this. Now, a CPU or a PCH or a graphics mux, it's going to send 3.3 volts out because they work on 3.3 volt logic. It's going to send 3.3 volts or not send 3.3 volts. But what it doesn't have the ability to do is take this voltage and lower it. So what we have here is this resistor is going to put 8 volts actually in this case, from the input to the gate so that this thing never turns on. And this over here is going to be a voltage divider. So this second resistor takes this from just being a normal resistor that makes sure the same 8 volts on the gate, on the source is on the gate, goes to ground. So if that voltage divider can then lower the voltage. The problem is, if the voltage divider is always on, then then if it's always on, then you're always going to have a light. And if this is not a voltage divider, then you're not always going to get a light. So it's a voltage divider that's adjustable by the platform controller hub. And the way that works is that these transistors are going to be standard, good old-fashioned N-channel MOSFETs. These little N-channel MOSFETs are going to open when the voltage in the gate is greater than the source. So let's just take a look at what's going on the bottom one. On the bottom one, the source is ground. So if I send 3.3 volts to the gate, it's going to open because voltage on the gate is greater than the source. Over here, LCD backlight enable. Once this one opens, then over here, the source, again, is going to be ground because this MOSFET opened. So source, ground. LCD backlight enable, 3 volts. Well, that's going to be larger than the source, which means that these both open. Now, once these transistors both open, this is now no longer one resistor. It's a voltage divider. Because keep in mind, this other resistor here, if this second resistor doesn't have a path to anything, it doesn't mean shit. This is not a voltage divider. It's only a voltage divider if both resistors are present. You got the top resistor taking your high voltage and putting it where you want the lower voltage to be, and you have the bottom resistor going between where you want the lower voltage to be and ground. So once this transistor is both open, it's going to allow this to be a voltage divider because that bottom resistor will then go to ground and be activated. And then once that happens, this transistor will have less in the gate than the source and power go through the backlight circuit. And that's probably happening intermittently as a result of all the fuckery that you see over here. Good night, just me, only me. I might as well reflow the PP342G3 hot regulator. Since there was junk by it before, we've got some nice flux on the board. Alright, make sure it's nicely soldered over there. Push down on it. Oreo the cat is happy. He is sitting on his little scratching bed. Oreo? He doesn't know how to make it up to his heated bed. So, poor Oreo. Poor Oreo. Otherwise known as Paporio. Alright, so the money component that was broken is this one. See those solder pads? See where there used to be a solder pad, and instead of there being a solder pad, it's just this rusted shit? We're going to scrape, and with the power of flux and heat, we're going to force that pad back in here. You got the backlight fuse pads. Right. Now, once we replace that section that's responsible for enabling the Q9706 to open so that voltage can go through the backlight circuit, I expect this to be a fine working board. I haven't, Ignacio. JBC doesn't impress me with anything. JBC was really cool back in the day when every soldering iron heated up slowly, but that's so 2001. You know, I don't care anymore. I'm not willing to pay a premium because the tip heats up quickly. I just don't care. Everybody makes stations with tips that heat up quickly. The fucking TS100 heats up quickly for like $50. JBC does not make products that are worth the money that they charge for them. There was a time where you could say, well, it's a lot of money, but it works a little bit better, and that little bit is worth a lot. And I would have agreed with that. But in a world where you have all these other brands that make equipment that works amazingly well, where there's really no difference in luxury from using the JBC versus the normal, I don't care. It doesn't make sense. JBC stopped being a company that was relevant to me. Those two are kind of bothering me. That is too. You know what? Fuck it. That's an important... Oh my god, I'm glad I removed that. If I'd kept that on the board, I would have regretted it when this came back for warranty. Wow, look at those bottom legs. There was still a lot of shit there that I couldn't see. Ugh. The board looks like it's bleeding. Gross. See you later, Jeff. Yeah, now that pad is gone. Well, if it was going to go that easily, then I shouldn't have been there to begin with. We're going to run a jumper or something to see what should have been there. So that looks like pin 1 of the... Alright, so we'll just run a line from the cap to there. No big deal. It looks like that trace was barely held onto the board anyway. That was bull. That was foul. These tweezers are rigged. This is a rigged system. Luckily, the pad that I just ripped off is a not connected pad, so I don't have to care about that. Okay. You have to think about it, Orange the Trap. You really have to think about it. That little thing where it says live stream makes it hard to tell. Oreo cat, Oreo cat, Oreo cat, Oreo cat. Oreo. Oreo, 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 Oreo. Oreo. Aw. It was a good boy. Oreo. Oreo. Psst, psst, psst. You inspired me to chase my dreams and even coach me through your life advice videos. Be who I am today, so thank you. Thank you very much. I really appreciate that. Ugh. Thank you for believing me when I said this is live. Oh, son of a bitch. I thought I was done. For fuck's sake. Oh, you don't stop. Corrosion. Stop it. Stop being corroded. That would be very bad for you, Coderstone. That would not be good for any of the people who tried. Also likely would end with me in prison. Da, da, da. OMFing-G. Be done with this corrosion. Sanford and Son. Sanford and Son truck. Ah, beautiful, beautiful backlight. Now give me a beautiful question mark folder. Probably the A1466 and A15. Yeah, A1466 and A1502 chrono. Whatever the cheapest one is at the time of production, because that's typically the one that seems to have the highest sales volume. Or, if not the highest sales volume, at least the highest ratio of people treating it like shit. So I imagine when people spend more money on the machine, they're more likely to treat it well, or that the cheaper models have higher sales volume. One or the other. You don't have to, Haldry. I just appreciate you being here. Thank you very much for showing up to the stream is all. We're almost up to the numbers on this channel for live viewers that I was on the main channel when I was... Because originally, at the end of 2016, I started streaming repairs to the main channel, and I was getting 600 to 700 viewers a video. Now we've got 533 people watching on the second channel, and it's only about 2.5 years in. which is pretty cool. So it looks like this now has a backlight, and it turns on. It was still turning on before. How is beyond me, because it clearly had a lot of corrosion on virtually everything. A lot of the stuff that mattered, you know, like powering the RAM, talking to the charger, SMC, the main power rail that powers everything in the case. I also missed one other piece of fucking corrosion on this thing. Oh my god, it never ends. It had a little something on it, so we're just gonna reflow whatever that little thing is. Looks like a hall sensor. And touch it up. I saw some corrosion around it, which means that it may have gotten under it. I don't want it to disturb the solder joints under it. And then there's that's just the sub board that the board that the hall sensor is soldered onto. Now we're just gonna mess with the hall sensor a little bit there. Clean that up. And then after that, move on to the next fucking board. Oh no! Damn it! Piece of shit. It's trying to escape. It's like, I don't want to be on a fucking MacBook. Get me out of here. No. Just like a Foxconn worker. You try to jump out, we'll toss you right back in. How do you like that, you little fucking hall sensor? That's right. These boards have nets in the side of them to keep you from escaping. I want to be a hall sensor on a ThinkPad. Nope. You get to be a hall sensor on an Apple. Yeah, that was kind of fucked up and insensitive. I'm sorry. Oh. That's what happens when you work at 2 in the morning. Okay. This needs cleaning. They just put some notes in the ticket, and then we move on to the next MacBook, because the next MacBook is always going to be there. It's always going to be there, just waiting patiently for someone to come along and save it from its MacBookness. It's always another MacBook. You can never get around the fact that there's always another MacBook. Leave some notes. Oreo. Apple pie. Huh. Thank you. Hi, Oreo. Hi, Oreo. You're a good kitty. You're a happy cat. I don't know why you don't want to sit on your nice little warm bed, though. What's wrong with your warm bed? Oreo likes sitting on a scratching post. He's so cute. Oreo. I know, Erica's not going to be back for a while. She's having fun in Hawaii. But she's going to be back, and she's going to play with you again. You miss when Erica used to play with you? Do you? You miss Erica? Yeah, I know. I don't know when she's coming back either. Or if. We'll see. Okay. Let's leave some notes for this ticket and move on to the next one. All right. 200 to repair this. Oreo. Oh, you're so cute when you do your little Oreo meow. You go meow meow. I think this bed actually detects when a cat is in it, and then and only then will it become warm, which is actually really nice. Where can I fucking fit this cat bed, though? He doesn't want to climb up to the desk because he's uncomfortable with that. There's legitimately no place to put this thing. Under Paul's desk, maybe? Yeah, let's put it over here. Paul's not coming back for a few days anyway. Okay, so we'll put this under Paul's desk. I have his little heated cat bed. Won't reach the outlet. Okay, there we go. Now he's got a nice warm seat. Oreo! 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 Hi, Oreo! Hi! Oreo! Come here! Come here, little kitty! Come here! Who's my cat? Who's my little cat? Put the bed in the new store, or he needs to keep an eye on the contractors. No, he needs to kill the mice here. He needs to kill the mice there, too, but there's nobody there. Oreo! Oreo, you're so distracting. How do I get any work done? Come here. Oreo. Come here. He's so cute. He's such a good boy. He is such a good boy. Hey everybody, how's it going? Here we have an A1466 MacBook Air that's not powering on. Let's see if we can open this thing and figure out what's wrong with it. I was this close to showing the MacBook Air like this until I realized they had a big post-it with their name and phone number and address on it. I was this close to doxing them. I don't think people watch these streams and realize how I show the machines on camera. If they did, they probably wouldn't put their address information right in the area that I put to the screen. Cars in depth. That's never going to happen to me. I have good blood pressure. Cholesterol levels are good. I'm in some good shape. Haldry, where do you live? SC Lime, I don't have to yawn. I am powered purely by the desire to fix MacBooks. It keeps me awake. It allows me to power through. This allows me to just power right through. Bam. 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 So now what we do with all of these MacBooks is we unplug the battery and then we plug the charger in. Because if we unplug the battery and then plug the charger in, it's going to show us on the screen how much power the charger is using. And that's going to be a useful number that helps me figure out what's wrong with the computer. Here it looks like it's taking 6 milliamps, a number I'm not used to. That typically means that my charger is not making contact with the machine, which may be due to the fact that my MagSafe is really badly corroded. Let's see if that's the case, though. I'm going to put this in voltage mode and see if anything from here is reaching into the machine. Actually, I can tell before I even do that it's not, and I'll show you how I know that. I'm going to open up a schematic and a board view for the 820-00165. By the way, for those of you who always ask me, how do you know where the board number is? Well, you need to know the number of the board to know where the board number is, because the board number is written in different spaces on every model board. So this is really an issue of eyesight, because if you're unable to see where the board number is, you're probably in the wrong business. On this board, the reason I know that it's an 820-00165 is because the number is written right over here where it's clearly visible. See? 820-00165. Right there. So if you're not able to see that, you might just be in the wrong industry. But let's get back to trying to figure out what's wrong with this board. Now, if you look at it, you'll see that there is a teeny tiny bit of corrosion in the corner, right over here. And we're going to look at that corrosion in the microscope. And I'm going to show you why it is that this machine is only taking 6 milliamps. And also, just to note, if you've been watching regularly, you know that I try to troubleshoot the board and figure out what's wrong with the board by taking a look at how many milliamps it's taking on the charger when I plug it in. So now, if you've been a regular viewer, you know I'm going to add to my list that 6 milliamps is going to mean a problem with the input of the PP3V42 circuit. So let's take a look at that area and see if you can tell me what you see going on. There's corrosion over there, but there's one particular piece of corrosion that's going to be the corrosion that matters. And it's going to be the corrosion that stops power from flowing through to anything on this MacBook. And it's going to be this little diode right over here. I'm simply going to brush a little bit on that diode, like so. And then I'm going to take a little Q-tip along that diode, like this. And there's a good chance that this computer is now going to turn on. Let me show you why in the schematic while I wait for my alcohol to dry. So I'm going to open up a schematic and a board view to an 820-00165 board. And you'll all be able to follow along with me. We're going to find that chip, the PP3V42_G3 hot creator, U7090, and we're going to move the PDF over to it. So, this is the power supply for the 3.42 volt rail. That's required to power the system management controller. The system management controller is powered by 3.42 volts. That's going to be what turns the charger on. That's going to be what allows the ISL6259 that creates PP-G3 hot, the main power off of the system, to work. Nothing in the system can work if 3.42 volts doesn't work. Now, it has an input over here. Remember, this is going to have to be powered on battery or charger. It's the only rail in the system that needs to be powered by the battery or the charger, which means that it's going to have multiple inputs. So when you take a look over here, this is in, but that input can be powered by either PP-G3 hot or PP18V5 DC in. Wow. So you have two different ways of powering it. PP-G3 hot, which is the battery, or 18 volts, which is going to be from the charger. This over here is going to be the charge port, J7000. Now you have a diode over here. The reason is that PP-G3 hot is a power rail that comes from the battery, or if the battery is dead or not plugged in, it's created by the ISL6259 chip by the charger. You don't want 18 volts going to your battery simply because they're tied to the same input. So you have a diode over here that prevents the 18 volts from the charger from going into PP-G3 hot. Now, when it comes to the charger, the charger is not hooked up directly to the input of the PP342 circuit. The charger is hooked up to something else. If you take a look over here, the charger goes to a transistor, Q7010. Now, this here is what's called a P-channel Mosfet. If you're unsure what a P-channel versus an N-channel is, I'll explain. And if you're unsure of how to tell a P-channel from an N-channel, I would suggest that you simply Google the name of the transistor. Not this name, not Q7010, SI5419. Q7010 doesn't actually mean anything. So imagine if I said, Dad, do you know where Mom is? Dad would know who I'm talking about because I'm talking about my mother, and that has a relationship to him because I'm his son. Whereas if I go into a hotel lobby and I ask the attendant, have you seen my mother? That doesn't mean anything to him. He doesn't know who Mom is. He needs to know, are you looking for Donna Pomponio? Then he'll know that I was looking for my mother. Over here, the same principle applies. Q7010 only means something to this particular Apple motherboard, but the actual name of the component is SI5419DU. And if you Google that, you'll see that it is a P-channel MOSFET. The reason it's important to know a P-channel MOSFET from an N-channel MOSFET is that a P-channel MOSFET is going to open when the voltage in the gate is lower than the voltage in the source, whereas an N-channel MOSFET is going to open when the voltage in the gate is equal to or higher than the source. Knowing what the knowing what the expected behavior is of the chip is going to allow you to understand if there's a malfunction with it. So, this is a P-channel, which means that this is not going to allow any power to go from the source to the drain unless the voltage in the gate is lower. Think of this like a light switch. Source to drain is like the in and out of a light switch, and the gate is kind of like the position of the switch, whether it's on or off. If you have voltage at the gate that's lower than the source, the light switch turns on. If you have voltage at the gate that's equal to or higher than the source, the light switch turns off. So, knowing that this is only going to open when the voltage in the gate is lower than the source, let's take a look and see how this is set up. So it looks like we have a resistor over here between the source and the gate. These resistors are not going to drop voltage. They're simply going to drop the amount of current that can flow through, which means that the 18 volts from the source is always going to be present on the gate, meaning this will never open, unless we give the gate a path to ground. If we give the gate a path to ground, which is what we do over here, see this, D7012, that means that some of that power, that voltage, is going to go to ground, meaning that we're not going to have 18 volts in the gate. This diode to ground is not going to affect the voltage at the source because you have a 100 kilo ohm resistor isolating the current flow between the source and ground. However, it will affect what's going on at the gate. So, if we take a look, you'll see that the diode is the path to ground. And if you look over here on the actual board view, you'll see that D7012 is going to be that very component that we saw having the most corrosion on it. right here, D7012. Now, we were able to clean that diode with a Q-tip. And since we've cleaned the diode with a Q-tip, it's probably going to work again. We're just going to do a little bit more over here. And we'll touch this up with some solder at the end, of course. We're not going to leave a board like this with little corroded stuff stuck on it. When a customer trusted us over the Apple Store with their machine, their data, and their money. But just for testing purposes, I'm kind of curious to see if the Q-tip is able to solve the problem that the Genius wasn't. Just get that alcohol to flow away. Now, we're going to plug our charger back in and see if this works. I'm going to turn on the power supply software so you could see it on the screen. And we plug it in and we get a green light and 500 milliamps of usage from the charger, as well as a fan spin, meaning that this machine now works. Apple, you quoted this woman $750. $750. I fixed this with a Q-tip. Now let's make this a permanent fix, because the argument can be made that the Q-tip fix is not permanent because those solder joints are not perfect. I think that those solder joints may be able to last for quite a bit of time, but I still would not want to leave the machine like this in this condition. Most likely there was some corrosion underneath that diode that was keeping it from making a good connection. And cleaning corrosion may keep two things from shorting together. It's always the fuse. Can we get a video on how many kilowatts it takes to blow a Macbook fuse in the dead donor boards? Fuck Apple. I would love to do something like that if I had the time. You have no idea how many projects I'd like to take on if there was time. People said it would be nice to have a time-lapse camera of the new store if I had the time. More, mailbag streams. This is my mail desk, by the way. This is where, like, when people send me stuff and say, Lewis, did you get it? This desk was supposed to be for David and Camille to work on iPhones together. And it's like, yeah, you could see that when I have if I had time, I would do it. But unfortunately, I'm here at 3 a.m. fixing shit. I'd like to. I think it would be really fun to do something like that. Make Hi do it. Hi does not work here at the moment. Hi is busy with school. And even when Hi was not busy with school, he worked here 1-2 days a week. So I think it was 1 day a week. So there's really no time for that. All a time-lapse camera requires is an SLR and a power supply. No. A time-lapse camera requires that I find the outlet that they're not going to be fucking with so that the thing always works. Then it requires that I buy an SLR. Then it requires that I find a wall mount for the SLR or a ceiling mount so that I can hang it from the ceiling. Then it requires that I go there and then hang it from the ceiling. And that's all shit that sounds really simple if you're not fixing boards until 4 a.m. All right. Okay, let's do this. Yeah, and Hi's busy with school. Anel was about to be busy with school, but then he got hit by a truck to avoid having to go to class and take his finals. It worked, by the way. For any of you wondering if that gets you out of school, totally got Anel out of college. It's not even that, Haldry. It's that since they're going to be doing electrical work in the space, they're going to be turning the electrical panel on and off when they're adding outlets. which means that you know, they're going to have to tell me, oh, by the way, we're turning your time-lapse camera off, which means, you know, which means additional interfacing with the electrician involved just for the video. It means sending somebody over there. I have to send somebody to B&H to find a camera. They're going to wait in line, buy it, half an hour to an hour, send them over there to wire it and mount it. It's like several hours. I mean, you know, Steve could recover hard drives in that time. He is about 6 weeks behind on recovering customer data. You know, Paul could fix boards during that time. His stack is always filled high. I could do it, but there's nobody to do it. There's no time for that kind of shit. All right, so here, what we're going to do is we're going to put the proper amount of flux. And this is going to help fix the integrity of those solder joints. It's not about you lending me the camera. It's about finding the time to get a mount, set it up in the ceiling, interface with the electrician to have a specific outlet that none of them touch that's only for the camera. It's like, and then spending the time to go there. I appreciate it. I really, really do. It's just I'm never going to make the time for all that stuff. Okay. Now, what I'm going to do with that diode, just to make sure that I get a good job done on it, is I'm going to tap it. What this is going to do is it's going to move the solder around in the little ball that it's in that little solder ball. And it means that the corrosion is probably going to get bounced out of it, which is exactly what I want. Which means that not only is it going to be, you know, a kind of half their connection, but it's going to be as good as it was prior to the liquid damage. And that one resistor that looks like it could be a little bit nicer, we're going to file that with my HAKKO 2032 tip. And my T30KN tip on the 2032 iron. See that? We're just going to redo that joint like that, scrape a little so that any of the corrosion leaves, and do the same thing for the other side of that resistor. And it'll be like it was never corroded. And anywhere I see that kind of reddish, rust-looking junk, we're going to take this tip, which is shaped perfectly for the sides of these QFN chips, and file. Back and forth with the flux there, and just file. Now, if you can see that it looks like there's corrosion under it, then you take the chip off. But if there's not, this will do the job. And any of these probe points that look like they're a little rusted, where the resistor is going to be communicating with the chip, or sending voltage to the chip, scrape, scrape, scrape. And there we go. This machine is likely going to be good until the end of time, until the user decides that they're going to spill more liquid into it. Remember, your MacBook is not thirsty. Don't treat it like it is. I'm going to plug this thing in a moment. I'm actually just going to keep the fume extractor on for another minute to cool it off. The fume extractor with the board by it is something I like to call rapid cool technology. Okay. I turn off the fume extractor, grab the board, clean the desk a little bit before I put the customer's computer on it. I have sucked up stuff into the fume extractor before. There's a bunch of chips in there. You pay 10,000 USD per month in wages. No, I pay about $65,000 a month in wages. Well, the way I see it is if I add 5 to 6 board repairs per day, that makes up for the $40,000 to $70,000 shortfall. That's why I'm doing this, because if I can add that many jobs a day, I can respond to some customers that otherwise wouldn't have been responded to, right? If I'm able to simply add 6 to 7 jobs a day for the next month, that will be the amount. Plus, I mean, I do pay people, but then they go and do things like get hit by trucks. Camille just actually jumped in front of a car recently because Anel has been a bad influence on him. Anel went up to him and said, "You know what's really cool? Getting hit by an automobile." And then Camille said, "Wow, I'd like to try that too." And then he went and got hit by an automobile. Got to be careful who you let your employees hang around. It can be a bad influence. Using blast gates and distributed fume extractor system. I did not see that, no. I think the YouTube channel is up to about 5,000 comments a day now. I used to actually make an effort to at least scroll through it if I didn't read through them all, but I haven't even had time to scroll through them recently. If you emailed it to me, it's probably sitting in an email inbox with 420 unread emails. There's no way to contact me right now unless you know my cell phone number. I don't exist. Okay. Now we're going to see if this thing gives us a question mark folder on the screen once it turns on. As you can see, we get a question mark folder on the screen, meaning that our repair is complete. The only thing we have to do at this point is ultrasonically clean the motherboard to get rid of any corrosion that may be hiding under the chips. We have a nice Crest P1200H45 over there. It's a nice piece of kit. It's going to get a nice sweep frequency ultrasonic. It's going to get under every single chip and remove all the junk from the board. And once that's done, this will work lovely again. And it'll be ready to go back to a happy customer. That's it for today, and as always, I hope you learned something. See you in the next video. Cut! Aw, Oreo cat. Oreo intermission, fine. There he is. But actually, I can't show you that without the letter showing up next to me, so I'm going to wind up doxing a customer if I zoom in on Oreo. If I didn't already dox them. I hate pizza. I find pizza repugnant. It's not even that it's not healthy. It just tastes like shit. Fixable. I could give a fuck less if it is a crime. Wait, why does it say estimate approved? I made the estimate. I didn't fucking approve it. Piece of shit software. Fucking son of a bitch. Fucking Paul Daniel software. I see an A1534. We're not going to ruin my happy streak with an A1534. No reason for that. I did nothing to deserve an A1534 in my queue. Intermittent power, fuck that. A1534, fuck that. Maybe I'll take you. You know what? I think now may actually be an excellent time to head home. I think what I'm going to do now is call it a night and head home. Thank you everybody who decided to watch the stream. We'll see you in a later video. There is more to be fixed, but there's actually video that I have to edit at home. There's a lot of video that I haven't edited that I should edit. So I'm going to go do that and then have some content for main channel and be out of here.